Earlier this year, one of my doll designs appeared in Handmade magazine. There she is. Her name is Frilly Tilly. More recently, I was asked if I could produce a video tutorial on how to make this doll. The person in question, she said that she's a newbie sewer, so she needed just a little bit of something extra, which I completely understand. It's one thing to follow instructions, especially when you haven't done it before. Sometimes we need visual aid. We are going to remake Frilly Tilly. We'll use different fabric and let's get started. Getting yourself set up, iron your fabric, make sure it's nice and flat before you start tracing. Cut out your paper pattern pieces, lay them down over the fabric, grab a pen or pencil, start tracing. Make sure you include your markers for darts and such, and get started with cutting out the fabric. Chop chop! For the first step, we are going to sew the ears. To do so, we're placing both pairs of the ears with right sides together, and we are going to sew around the edge like so, but we're going to keep this space open so that we can turn the ears through. I have now sewn around the ears. I have used a 5mm seam allowance. Before I turn the ears through, I have been snipping the seam allowance just a little bit. That'll help to create a nice shape when you turn the fabric through and press it on the iron. So there we go. Being very careful not to cut into your stitching. I have hemostats. That makes it easier for turning through things like this. You can easily find these on the internet. Not just used by surgeons, but also doll makers. It can be used for this sort of thing. Also speeds up your process when you're having to fill a doll with hobby fill. After turning the ears through and ironing it, pressing them flat, the step 1 says to do an invisible stitch on the hole that we turn through. Now you can do that, or you can do an edge stitch all around the edge. Now in this case I chose to do an edge stitch, but it doesn't really matter if you use an edge stitch or if you just hand sew an invisible stitch along that little hole.